Coming up this week on Beyond the Vibe, we're joined by Hell's lead vocalist of Planet Fatale.
You know, you're just thinking, I'm going to do this, and like everybody's just going to be like absolutely ridiculing me forevermore. So that was like definitely a really, I always say it's like my most nerve-wracking gig, because, you know, everything after that is just like, that's nowhere near as scary. Heavy metal, stoner, doom, that kind of stuff, like those influences are there, and then, you know, some lighter, kind of more classic rock, hard rock kind of feel. Kind of got like this vision that we want to create like a really heavy rock sound that kind of encompasses the metal that we love, and then but also, you know, has got like the really awesome catchy kind of bouncing aroundness of like rock music.
Vibe, the show that cuts deep into the world of music.
My name's Aaron Day. Lead guitarist UK band These Wicked Rivers. Where did I get the pen from?
Who knows?
I'm here, music videographer and photographer. It's Mr. Ryan Vasey.
It is.
In the house.
Yes.
On the sofa.
I know, and not over Zoom.
Not over Zoom.
Not this part, anyway.
Nice little segue. How are you, Mr. Vasey?
Oh, we're doing okay. We've turned the corner. I'm not so sick. People that are eagle-eyed out there may have noticed last week I looked like death.
And now we look a tiny bit less like death.
Yes, just a little bit less.
But yes, it's good that you're starting to get back to your usual health, because obviously gigs are returning now, thick and fast. I mean, today's guest, Hells from Planet Fatale, whose interview you can see shortly, she's going to Bloodstock
Yes.
this week, which for me is just amazing. The idea that a festival, like a full festival, can happen in full swing. I'm going to say full again. Yeah, but it shows that the kind of the progression. I mean, me and the boys in Rivers, we've just played with those Damn Crows at the Tivoli, and that was amazing to have 500 people like just walking around with no masks on, to be able to see the fans and chat and take pictures again. You know, it meant a lot. I've forgotten how much it meant to me personally to see people and to have that engagement. You know, it's amazing, man. You take it for granted until it's gone, and now I've got it back. My hope is that the rock world and music in general and fans will come out a little bit more to support up and coming bands as well as ourselves.
Yes. What Bloodstock bands do we have this year?
So we've got Priest are headlining.
Yeah.
They're headlining one of the nights. I think that's about Priest level, you know. Like Bloodstock. I mean, Bloodstock's a big festival, and I went there a few years ago, and I think headline bands I saw were I think Megadeth headlined one night. I kind of see Priest on that similar sort of level. I think, and Bloodstock's this kind of, it's a weird crowd, because you'll have like Cradle of Filth. I've had Rich Shaw there playing this year, but you'll have Saxon, you know, you'll have Behemoth, so it's kind of that mixture of the death metal, extreme metal.
It's like you've got the extreme end where you've got like the black makeup and the screaming and all that kind of stuff.
What you do at the weekend?
Yeah, my favourite pastime, of course.
Normally in the back of the mirror.
Yeah. And then obviously you've got that kind of more classic end with the Judas Priest and your Saxons.
It's like a full catalogue of metal, isn't it, from classic. And Diamond Head are playing as well.
Yeah.
So it's a full catalogue. And I think I enjoyed it because I just felt like the vibe was awesome. You know, it felt like it was download. The only problem with download is because you've got such a mixture of alternative rock to you know, kind of extreme metal as well, is that you get a lot of different people there, and it doesn't feel like there's that togetherness, maybe because of the size of it. Because Bloodstock, man, you're camping next to the festival, you know, you wake up and you walk into the festival, you know, everybody feels like there's that community and that vibe together, and I'm sure they'll really appreciate it even more, you know. So I hope Hells from Planet Fatale enjoys it, and I'm sure everyone else will that's going.
Yes. And speaking of Hells from Planet Fatale, were you impressed with that segue? I know, it was beautiful. You can hear that interview now.
So we're here with Hells of Planet Fatale. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. We're doing all right,
yes,
aren't we?
We are doing well.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Hells. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So one thing that we like to do on the show is go back to like the origins of a musician. So with that in mind, when did you hear music for the first time and thought like, this is what I want to do? Was there a moment for you?
Oh, that's quite a tough one. Well, I mean, I've always sang like since I can really remember. I think most people do, don't they? It's different to having like a guitar or something. It's you know, you're kind of born with your voice, so like you kind of just do it from a very early age. And I definitely did that. I was just always singing, and yeah, in school I did a lot of that. You know, just I joined every choir, and there was this one moment that I remember in particular, which was in my middle school. I was convinced by my music teacher to do a solo in assembly, and it was just like, yeah, okay, just give that a go. And it was like, it's gonna be awful. You know, you're just thinking, I'm gonna do this, and like everybody's just gonna be like absolutely ridiculing me forevermore. So that was like definitely a really, I always say it's like my most nerve-wracking gig, because, you know, everything after that is just like, that's nowhere near as scary. So I think that was kind of like the moment when I came off after having done that. And I actually, you know, everybody was just like, I can't believe you managed to do that. That was amazing. You know, that was a really nice feeling. And I think that kind of, you know, it was kind of like my first like performance. My idea that I could maybe carry on was performing. But yeah, with the music thing, I mean, I don't know. I remember listening to like my parents' cassette tapes when I was a kid and stuff, and stealing them and putting them in my room, and, you know, dancing around. I remember dancing around to like Bon Jovi and Michael Jackson. My parents' tape collection was quite small, I guess, really. But yeah, I remember that. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think my journey is probably a little bit kind of unusual, because although I've kind of always really loved rock and metal music, I actually started off in a folk band. And so I used to kind of sing with an acoustic guitarist doing folk music and I did that with for years, actually. We went on for probably about 10 years in total. And
wow.
We kind of, like, got different instrumentalists in. We had djembe players and mandolin players and so on. And so we played a lot of just open acoustic nights, like on the local Cambridge circuit. And Cambridge is very good for, you know, folk and open acoustic nights and things like that. It's got a big scene for that kind of thing. So we did a lot of that, and very different to kind of rock. But then it was kind of, I don't know, trying to think like how long ago it was now, but it wasn't actually that long ago that I decided, yeah, I need to just start doing rock, because that's actually what I'm really, really interested in. And yeah, that must have been probably about 7 years ago, I think. So I joined a rock band, and then, yeah, and the rest is history, I guess.
It's really cool that you said about the school assembly, because my first gig was the school assembly, and when you was talking about remembering that fear, I've never had fear like that, because you think, you're standing there and you think, this is a fucking awful idea. This is what people will talk about for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter. I'll live in a house by myself at the end of a street. The kids will throw rocks because I decided to do this. Remember. But it's amazing, because I think moments like that kind of bring the best out of kids. It's like you say afterwards, everyone's so lovely and just so in awe of the fact that you did it and stuff. And I think I had the same thing after mine. I assumed this is the end of my life now. They're going to crucify me, you know. And all I remember in my mind is them walking in and sitting down, and me thinking, this is nonsense, like singing as people were walking and sitting down. But everyone was so lovely. So it was nice that you had that similar experience, and we could share that fear that thankfully turned into positive vibes.
Yeah, I mean, if the reaction had been different, who knows what would have happened? You know, I might have just gone, right, no more music for me, that'll do.
Let's be thankful that it was a positive thing.
Yeah.
So as you said, you kind of had that he was in a folk band for such a long time, which is obviously such a different vibe than what you've got now with Planet Fatale. So the band came together in early 2019. What was the moment for you personally, Hells? You know, when you kind of, whether it be a practice or writing a certain song and that all coming together, or a gig where you thought, oh, this is going to be good. This is what, you know, I've been searching for.
Yeah, so the first rock band was Powderhead, which is essentially like an earlier incarnation of Planet Fatale. So me, the drummer and bassist are all kind of from Powderhead originally.
Cool.
But yeah, I think it probably was with Powderhead. We played we had an opportunity to play the Underworld in Camden, and as like a rock fan, it was just like, wow, this is like incredible, and yeah, I think just kind of like an opportunity like that kind of really sparked a lot for me. It's just like, yeah, I really want to just, I want to play bigger venues like this. I want to be kind of, this is where I want to go with it. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been loads of moments, and there's also moments where you just go, oh, what am I doing? Should I even be doing this anymore? There's a lot of those moments as well. So you've got to grasp those kind of little bits that you get with both hands, I think, and just kind of remember them in the dark times.
I think the dark times make you stronger, though, don't you? I mean, you take a lot of experience. I think when you've played a few difficult gigs, you can really learn to manage them, and I think that makes you, like you say, appreciate them special gigs even more. Yeah, definitely. Because we actually on Saturday played a gig to our first standing audience since awesome, since
lockdown. So we'd played a gig to a seated audience, but it was the first one to a standing audience, and just like the buzz afterwards, it's like nothing else. So you it kind of brings it all back, like, why? Yeah, this is why we're doing it. This is why we love it. More of that,
So the upcoming album, The Cycle Repeats, is out September 17th. When you had the collection of songs decided and walked into the studio, did you have like a certain vibe that you wanted to achieve for the record, and how did you go about this?
So yeah, we started writing the album kind of, I think it must have been late 2018, like really late 2018. And we wrote 2 songs before, just as a 3-piece. So without any guitars, quite a different way of writing, to say the least. So we wrote 2 of the tracks from the album then. Then when we got Chris and Simon in on guitars, and we didn't really know what we were going to do with the songs at that point. It was just like, we just carry on writing because it's kind of what we love to do. And so when we got the guitarists in, it was just like, let's just see how that goes. And fortunately they were able to kind of like bring all of the awesome guitar stuff that you need and make the songs awesome. So that was really great. But they're kind of like, those 2 songs kind of stand out on the album a little bit because they're kind of more bass driven, having kind of been written with kind of bass and drums in mind. And then we started writing together with Simon and Chris, and as a full band. And again, it was kind of like, this very early days, and so who knows what's kind of going to happen. And we kind of threw them all in at the deep end, really, because we were like, let's just get the song recorded, see how it all goes. And we recorded a version of Shotgun Riders, which is the one that's out on Spotify at the moment. And that is going to feature on the album, but it's going to be a new recorded version, new mix, etc. And it's really interesting to see kind of like how that progressed from like, having them in the band for, I think it was about 3 or 4 months. And then it was like, right, we're in the studio, we're going to record a song and see what happens. So
let's see what you got. Chuck them in the studio, see what they got.
And then to kind of like wait, another couple of years and then record it again. But yeah, we just carried on writing, really. And Simon's just got some absolutely incredible riffs, and we've always kind of done that when we've got guitarists anyway, of like, following a riff and so on. So we started writing together like that. And yeah, we came up with a collection of songs that we were like, yeah, I think this is really representative of what we want to do. And especially for a first album where, you're still kind of working things out a little bit, aren't you? And you don't really know until you're in the studio, and then it's like, So yeah, we settled on the songs, and then it was kind of like, that must have been about 1.5 years. And then we were prepared to go into the studio, and then lockdown hit. So we had our studio session booked for April, and then last year, and that obviously all got cancelled. And then we went back into the studio again in early 2021. All very strict COVID procedures and so on. Once you were in the studio, you were in. There was no leaving and coming back type of thing. So it was all very interesting experience. But yeah, I think like, you know, the overall kind of vibe we wanted was just like, you know, like we've got a lot of different influences in the band. So definitely kind of a lot of the heavier side of things. So we've got like, you know, kind of, you know, heavy metal, stoner, doom, that kind of stuff. Like those influences are there. And then, you know, some lighter, kind of more classic rock, hard rock kind of feel. And so we kind of, I don't know, we've kind of got like this vision that we want to create like a really heavy rock sound that kind of encompasses the metal that we love, and then but also, you know, has got like the really awesome catchy kind of bouncing aroundness of like rock music. So yeah, so I think that's what we're trying to create with the album really. So
that's cool. I think you can hear them different shades of the different influences coming in and out throughout the album, but it sits on this really nice even balance throughout, so it doesn't feel like you've got certain songs that do this, certain songs that do that. And I think it's really cool that you've been able to achieve that. For people that obviously, when you were Powderhead, Helen, was what the actual sound of the band, was it similar to Planet Fatale, or did everything change when the two guitarists came in?
Yeah, it was definitely different. So the guitarists that we had in at the time, they were much more classic rock kind of background, and you know, it was, so the sound was very, very different, which is kind of why we decided, although 3 of the members were the same, we thought we should change the band name, because we really felt we were a very different band. As you know, it's kind of like bringing in new guitarists and like having that, like they bring so much of the sound, you know, so it really does change the band altogether really. And you know, we were, and also Miller and Ollie, the bassist and drummer, they're, you know, massive metal heads really. So it made a lot more sense. You know, Ollie's loves his thrash metal, and Miller's really into his kind of like doom and stoner. So it made a lot of sense, like when we got heavier guitarists in, to kind of gravitate towards the heavier kind of side of rock.
Cool. When it comes to gigging, is there any tracks in particular that you're looking forward to playing off the album? Any favourites?
Well, one of my personal favourites is the single that we've got coming out on the 20th of August, which is called Break For You. And that's mainly just because it was kind of like a really satisfying song to write, because it was I really like the collaboration in a band, you know, like everybody kind of gets involved and you know, adds their own kind of flavor to it. And it was for me one of the most satisfying from a writing point of view. We kind of started off with a bass riff, which is like the verse, and then I had like this vocal idea that I'd just been kind of had in my head for like ages, and I was just like, it seemed like a really good opportunity to use it because it just fitted really, really, really well with like the bass thing. I was like, oh yeah, I can just fit that in, and that became like the chorus. And Chris wrote the guitar for the chorus over the vocal line that I had, and then Simon wrote the middle 8 breakdown section, and it was just, I don't know, it's just lovely, that kind of like coming together, and everybody just
sounds like a really nice flow. Like it almost felt quite easy, like you could just kind of, everyone just collectively came together and it just flowed really nice to that outcome. Yeah,
and I think that's quite difficult to achieve, and it's you know, it won't happen with every song, definitely. If you've done it once, it'll happen.
Enjoy it whilst you can.
Exactly. So I think that because of that, I'm looking forward to playing that one live. and also a track on the album called Violation, because it's got such a different feel. It's really, really, really dark and slow and quite sinister. And yeah, kind of like that. Gives us a bit of a different flavour.
Cool. No, looking forward to hearing them. I mean, in regards to that sort of live setting, Helen, I mean, with yourself, it's probably kind of a really cool conversation to have, because obviously you went from doing sort of the folk thing, which is much different to what you're doing with Planet Fatale. And one of the things we like to chat to musicians about is that kind of identity as a performer, you know, that you kind of, when you're on stage, you fall into this different character that maybe that you're not when you come off the stage, you know, and particularly with music that's quite heavy or aggressive, you know, I think that it comes across even more, particularly then obviously relating it to when you did the folk thing before. In terms of your live character, Helen, on stage, what influences do you take in there? Do you kind of just let it happen when you're there, or do you kind of have fixed things that you like to try and achieve when you're on stage, or any particular influence from other musicians?
I'm quite like a just, you know, get up there and see how it goes type of performer. Although, like, the more I've done it, the more I've kind of been, you know, trying to kind of incorporate a little bit more of the, a little bit more plans, but nothing ever goes to plan in a live show. So it's just try. But yeah, I think I just, I like kind of getting up on stage and then just kind of, it all just depends on kind of how I feel at the time, which
I think that's really important.
Yeah, and maybe that's good. I mean, I suppose if you have like a certain stage show and you have to do it all of the time, like if you're not feeling it one night, it might not come across as genuine as another night or something, perhaps. So, but I would like to kind of maybe kind of incorporate more of that in my own performance. But for now, it's just I just kind of get up there and kind of see how I feel. And for me, like, the songs give me a certain feeling, you know, that I kind of want to kind of react to. And that's kind of a bit easier, as, you know, as a vocalist, you can just kind of like pick up on that because you don't have like this instrument and in front of you kind of thing. And it's completely different to how I was on stage when I was doing folk music, because, you know, that was often, you know, acoustic and, you know, very intimate venues, like really close up audience, and, you know, a lot of people sitting down and even drinking cups of tea, you know. So it was a totally different type of thing, you know, rather than lots of people standing up with, you know, beers. So you do take off quite a lot from the audience as well. Although one thing that we've definitely noticed is you know, doing the kind of like live streams, you just don't have an audience, and so you've just kind of got to imagine an audience. So that, I think, is definitely going to affect kind of how we perform in the future. It's like, you don't need an audience anymore. It's just, you know.
It's different. It's a different challenge, isn't it? You almost have to try and do like a little version of yourself, like, as you say, pretend there's an audience there. Try and remember what it's like for an audience there.
Exactly.
Try and replicate that. So it's a new skill I think we've all learned that we take back into the gigging world.
Yeah. Just as long as there's not just a red dot in front of you, it's like an absolute amazing thing. But I'm still kind of like buzzing from Saturday just because of seeing just so many people, you know, out and gigging and moving around. You know, we had like a little mosh pit, and it was just like,
it's amazing.
Experienced a mosh pit for like, you know, it's just like ages. So it's really, it just kind of makes you realize just how important all of that is. And, you know, and seeing a lot of people out at the moment as well, it's incredible. I'm just loving it.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate.
Now we'd like to throw like a few weird questions at artists. So hypothetically, for Planet Fatale's next album, you've been told you have to do another genre. So what other genre would you guys like to explore? Obviously, we've talked a little bit about folk there, but you could dive into anything else.
Do whatever you want. You're in control of this as well, Helen. So if you want to piss everyone else off,
everybody else could be sacked.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want for this next album.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting, I think. Yeah, I was in control of it. I don't know. That's definitely an interesting question.
Has there ever been like a genre that maybe you thought, oh, I'd love to like explore that or give that a go or something like that maybe?
I think, I mean, I absolutely love kind of, you know, that like southern stoner kind of rock bluesy stuff. So something like that would be awesome. I mean, I'm really interested like in the kind of blues vocal sounds as well. Like I love that. So it'd be great to kind of do something where that's kind of more of a thing. But you know, like bands like Clutch and say Blues Pills, that kind of style.
Yeah, I love Blues Pills.
Yeah, they're absolutely incredible and amazing vocals. And yeah, like just that kind of verge between rock and then you've got quite a lot of the blues elements going on. I mean, that would be great. And then I don't know, to please everybody else would probably have to put a little bit of thrash in there and a bit
You're too nice, Helen, that's the problem. In this scenario you're still thinking
I gotta make people
I've got to make the boys happy. Like, we'll have like a Blues Pills kind of vibe, but we'll have a bit of thrash in there.
Breakdown in the middle of it.
Yeah, that maybe that's what Blues Pills is missing.
It's missing.
Too much of that retro rock. It needs a nice breakdown in the middle of it.
Yeah.
What is a question we're kind of asking a few artists as well, particularly I think with lockdown, because I think obviously it's a time where you reflect on the band. Like you say, at the start of lockdown, you guys were about to go into the studio, had all this energy kind of moving forward, and now as we're coming out of it, we're going back to gigs, and I really feel, probably the same as yourself, and there's that hunger there for live music again, and it feels like that's going to be the ultimate springboard for bands moving forward. I mean, for yourself, where would you like the band to be sort of maybe in 10 years' time? I know it's quite a big question, but what would the specific goals that you'd love yourself and the band to have achieved by that point?
Yeah, I mean, we love the live shows. Like that's kind of the thing that we just absolutely can live on, really. So I think kind of playing just bigger shows, getting to like onto some of the bigger festivals. I mean, as you know, I'm like big Bloodstock fan, so to be able to play on that stage would be incredible. So yeah, I think like kind of just some bigger shows, and then obviously to kind of continue with the albums. I'd like to think that we'd have quite a few albums by that point in time. Like all goes nice and well. And I'm really, really keen on music videos. That's kind of like what I studied, kind of like film and photography and stuff, and I'm like really, really keen on that side of things. So I'd like to think that we'd have like a massive backlog of catalogue of music videos as well, because awesome. Like one of the most fun things to do, I think, the music videos next to playing live.
Awesome. No, that sounds really cool. For folks that want to check the band out, as you say, you had your first gig back this weekend, but for those that missed that, what gigs have you got planned coming up?
So we're playing on the 21st of August at a brand new venue in Cambridge called MASH, with supporting The Treatment.
Cool.
And that'll be an awesome show. And the fact that there's a new venue opening up at this kind of time is just incredible. So
amazing, yeah.
Really chuffed that we can be part of that opening. And then what have we got after that? Yeah, one thing I can definitely remember that we've got a tour coming up for the album. That starts on the 23rd of September, I think.
Cool.
I should have brought some notes with me.
That's fine.
If it's not the 23rd, it's the 24th. It's one of them. And that's at Club 85 in Hitchin. And then we've basically got like a 10-day UK tour.
Awesome.
Like all around the UK. We've got some gigs kind of up north and a lot in the Midlands and so on. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So good to kind of get back on the road and
That's cool. I bet a lot of people will look forward to seeing you, in places that you might not have been before, and especially because that hunger's there. I think it'll be really cool to go straight back on tour and see everybody.
Yeah, I hope so.
Now, we like to finish the show on a bit of a hypothetical question. If you could tour with one band from the past and one band from the present, who would they be?
Okay.
It's your gig. You're in complete control.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm going to give you a challenge then. One band from the present. Oh, I don't know. I would be really torn between Blues Pills and Royal Thunder. I'd love either of those bands. And from the past, wow, I don't know. I'm going to go kind of really in the past and say, I don't know, because they are kind of still in existence, but I mean like the original lineup, The Doors.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the Blues Pills and the Doors collaboration. That's very much my taste. I think that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
So we're having that. Then we have Planet Fatale opening, and then we'll have Blues Pills as main support, and then we'll have the Doors in the heyday.
Things off. I mean, that's a strong
gig.
lineup. Yeah,
it's a good gig. We'll do what we can, as we always do. I mean, we've not delivered one yet, but we're working on it, and yours might be the first.
It could be.
Could very well be, But no, that's really cool. Thanks ever so much for chatting to us, Helen. Really appreciate it. For those that are interested, then Planet Fatale's new album, The Cycle Repeats, is out September 17th, and as Helen said, the tour kicks off towards the end of September, going up and down the country. So make sure you get yourself down to a show and check it out, and we'll try and pop down to one. We'd love to see you guys. Good to do this, like you say, try and eliminate the Zoom, break through the Zoom, and do some face-to-face stuff. Really cool. Looking forward to the album. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully see
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Helen. Of course, that was Hells from Planet Fatale. I enjoyed that, man. Very, very pleased you mentioned Blues Pills.
Yes.
I think I've showed you Blues Pills before when we had the Nova Hawks, and I said, check out this band. They sound very similar to Heather and Mr. Rex Roulette, what they're doing with the Nova Hawks. So, yeah. I liked how lovely she was, because even with that, as we said in the interview, you still had to whack in a bit of metal just to keep the boys up here at the back.
Has to appease the rest of the band.
It shows a good like leader. Front person of a band, that she knows the people behind her. She's got to keep them happy. She makes the whole machine work better. Hartwell could take a few leads.
I was just about to say, would Hartwell give you the same care?
No, we didn't, did he? He was selfish and just thinking of the best ways he could corrupt and destroy me, as is his normal focus. But yeah, no, enjoyed it. I think it'd be great to come out and see. A great gig with them with the treatment in that new venue in Cambridge. Obviously, 2 Cambridge bands. I'm sure anybody heading into that will be up for a good time. So yeah, no, looking forward to seeing what they do. Because they're a relatively new band.
Yes. 2019.
Yes, I mean that's the thing with a band coming out around that time. Because of lockdown, you normally have 2 real years worth or 3 years of gigging. And you feel like, say, the album would have probably come out sooner. Definitely would have come out sooner. So the studio early 2020. So it feels like in some ways, even though they'll feel that we're making up for lost ground, everyone's been on pause, and there's just a chance now to jump on the hype of a return to gigging. And I'm definitely feeling there's that new surge of eagerness. We predicted it, didn't we, a little bit? We hoped more than predicted.
Yeah, I was being optimistic. I was hoping that people would just want to go out to a gig again, and it appears from looking in that is the case. It does appear to be happening.
No, I agree, and I think the support that we have for bands on the Vibe as well during lockdown has been amazing, as it continues to be now. And what can people do if they want to continue supporting what we're doing?
I know it's segues galore today. If you like what we're doing, you can subscribe, of course, and it will keep you up to date with everything that we've got going on. Sometimes we do extra vibes where that could be any topic. Who knows? But of course, we always have the podcast out every Saturday from 10 a.m. And if you want to find out what guest we have, on a Wednesday from 10 a.m, we reveal who said guest is.
We do indeed. And if you're watching our lovely mugs on YouTube, make sure you go down to the little bell icon underneath the video. So when you click that, you'll get an alert every time you get a new Beyond the Vibe video, whether it's Extra Vibe or our podcast that comes out on a Saturday at 10 a.m. And make sure you never miss any lovely content that me and Mr. Vasey are producing.
Yes. So we will see you next week.
See you next.